Well, let's talk to you a little bit about the threat that we are now recording and registering. This is in Tibet. This is an area called Lhunze. It's about 40 kilometers away from the boundary between India and China, the McMahon line in Arunachal Pradesh. We'll give you the exact location in a moment from now. But essentially, the Chinese have been really building up their forward air bases. Now, at Lhunze, and this is an image from just a couple of days back, the 17th of October. Zoom in over here. What you'll be able to see are hardened aircraft shelters. There are 36 hardened aircraft shelters at this frontline airbase of the Chinese, just about 100 kilometers from Tawang, 40 odd kilometers from the line of actual control between India and China. So you can actually see the construction which has taken place there on your screen very, very clearly. But let's move to the next image, which will actually show you the speed of construction. And this is an earlier image. This is from the 2nd of April 2025. In fact, we'd broken details of the construction then. And as you can see, there were earthworks which were taking place at that time. Again, we're talking about Lhunze over here. Earthworks which were taking place. And now, if we move straight up, you can see that those earthworks have now translated into actual hangars in this particular area. These are hardened aircraft shelters. In other words, these are designed to sustain the impact of missile hits if India were to actually attack. The fact, once again, that this is so close to the boundary is what makes this deeply problematic. The next image that you see gives you a larger perspective of the entire airbase. It now has 36 aircraft shelters, as I pointed out. This is an administrative block which has also been set up. It wasn't there earlier on. There are more hangars that are believed to be under construction in this particular area. So more hangars where I'm pointing at this stage, which have been constructed. There is an expanded apron over here, or a flight line, where eventually the aircraft are going to be positioned. And so it is quite operational now. And with these hardened aircraft shelters, you can have or fully expect fighter aircraft to be deployed over there, unmanned aerial vehicles also to be deployed. In fact, the next image may come as a bit of a surprise, but I can tell you it shouldn't, because at Lhunze, again on the 17th of October, just a couple of days back, in that same airbase, we've got satellite images of CH-4 unmanned aerial vehicles. These are Chinese drones. They operate at altitudes above 16,000 feet. They can be armed. They're important for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. They could have an armed role as well, not just one, but 3 of these drones being deployed just 40 kilometers from the line of actual control between India and China is a cause of major concern. And I suppose that's why we're really bringing you this report. But if we just move to the next image, which is one of a map, then this is where Lhunze actually is. This is Lhunze over here. It's just about 40 odd kilometers from the line of actual control, about 100 odd kilometers, as I mentioned, from Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh. And all of the red air bases over here are air bases in Tibet, where China is ranged against all of the green air bases, which are the Indian air bases. So let's take a wide shot over here to give you an idea of what is actually the situation as India and China face off against each other. Now, China has got air bases further north, but it is important to note that the air bases that India operates on the plains, whether it's Gorakhpur, Darbhanga, Purnia, Bagdogra, Hashimara, Tezpur, Chabua, Jorhat, and others, right? These are all very important. They've existed for a long time. It was believed that India had an advantage against the Chinese, but through the construction of Lhunze, of Ningchi, of Shigatse, of Damsong, and other air bases, the Chinese now are able to take on what they perceive to be a threat from the Indian Air Force. So you're ranged one against the other. Now, if I was talking just about Lhunze in this report, I can assure you there's a lot more which the Chinese have done. So if we go to the next image, there are in fact 6 air bases, and this is the report we brought you in April that the Chinese have really been working on. The terrain is not easy. That's not stopped them. This is an image of Burang from the 9th of September 2022 when it was under construction. You can see a lot of earthworks taking place. But then on the 23rd of February this year, it's almost completely done. There is a new apron space. There are support buildings which are also constructed. If we move to another couple of images, just to give you an example of the extent of work that the Chinese have been doing on these frontline air bases, we can actually share the next image with you as well, which also shows, and this will be the last image, the Tingri Air Base. This is an image from the 6th of October 2021. The runway wasn't fully operational over there. In fact, it wasn't. You can actually see that the land had been carved out. It had been bulldozed, but there was no runway over there. Compare that with this situation over here, where you've got the runway, the 12th of March 2025. You've actually got an engine test pad, which has been housed over here as well. Over and above that, you've got, so that's the engine test pad. We've zoomed into it. There's a new apron. There's a support building. But the bottom line, as we bring you all of these reports, is this. Inasmuch as India and China are now diplomatic friends in the process of a diplomatic reset, the fact of the matter is that the militaries of India and China continue to be ranged against one another. There is infrastructure which is constructed, it continues to be built up, and what China continues to do is a major concern for the Indian Armed Forces. But let's also bring you a quick reaction. I ran these pictures through the former Air Chief Marshal Dhanoa, and the pictures of Lhunze, and he said that the construction of 36 hardened aircraft shelters at Lhunze clearly indicates that during the next incident between India and China, and let's go to the next page, their tactical fighters and attack helicopters operating in support of their army would be based here. That's why we are doing this report, explaining to you how the balance, in a sense, between India and China is being altered because of these Chinese construction activities.